Man, what a card UFC Vegas 108 was. We are here for UFC Vegas 109. We're going to break this one down, cover every single fight on the card, and hope that it's as entertaining as the last, if not better. Folks, all the links that you could ever need are in the description of this video, and I will see you in that first fight. Gabriella Fernandes takes on Julius Stoliaranko. Stoliaranko is 2-3 in her last five, 3-2 for Fernandes. Now, in this fight here, we all kind of know where this is going to go. Julius Stoliaranko, she's a fast starter. She's going to come forward with extreme pressure and just throw a couple of power shots, very unpolished power shots, but power shots to try to get into the clinch where she can grapple and get those throws. If she gets the throw, she's going to either armbar you or fail the armbar and then lose the fight. That is it. I know you're going to, like, you hear it all the time. So-and-so is blah, 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 or bust. She has 11 wins. 10 of them are armbars. Okay, that's all I got to tell you there. She's is close to a blah, 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 or bust as you can get. If she doesn't get that armbar, she's toast here. However, there's a chance she gets that armbar right away, and if she does, there you go. On the other side, Gabriella Fernandes. Can she stop the armbar? Good striker, good volume, decent power, kicks at all levels, good combinations. All those are great. She's got good clinch striking. That should help her here with the throws. She does lack in the takedown defense and can be held down. However, these takedowns are typically your standard lower body takedowns, like your wrestling style takedowns, things like that. The throws, I do think she's going to have, that Stoliaranko is going to have a little more trouble because the clinch striking of Fernandes is good, which means the clinch control is good as well, or at least to an extent. So I do think that her takedowns are going to be a little tougher. Stoliaranko needs to get this to the ground immediately and go for that armbar to win. Otherwise, Fernandes just runs away with this. I'm taking Fernandes. However, you're crazy if you don't just throw like a couple dollars on the Julius Stoliaranko round one submission, because that's kind of what she could do, right? Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next Uros Medic taking on Gilbert Urbina in the welterweight division. I think this is a decent matchup as far as, you know, figuring out where these guys are in their career at this point. For Urbina, he's 2-3 in his last five, 3-2 for Medic. Now, for Urbina, he's gotten a lot of success based on his frame, being just kind of longer than a lot of his opponents, things like that. Decent striker, pretty good volume, but his striking defense is, you know, he's kind of got the tall guy defense where you just kind of just try to lean out of the way and hope for the best. Decent grappler as well. Takedowns, decent. One thing I do like is that he'll mix them in with his striking, where he'll be throwing his punches and then go for the takedown. That's something that's nice. But his takedown defense isn't very good either. So defensively, he has a lot of holes. Offensively, he's all right. He's not ever going to be a top level contender, but he's good enough to, you know, beat the guys that don't belong here. For Medic, there's a lot of questions because his striking, absolutely solid. Dude's got really good speed in the strikes, very dynamic attack. His kicks are some of the best part of his arsenal. He works the body really well, and he controls range really well. We don't know a ton about his grappling. We just know that typically that's where his weak spots are, but offensively, he just doesn't do it. Rightfully so. If you're a good striker, why would you bother? And realistically, it comes down to that. If Urbina can start getting takedowns and get them early and often, he has a real good shot of winning this fight. But if he doesn't, he has a very slim chance of winning this on the feet. Now, he could. Don't get me wrong. He could. It is a fight. And these guys, you know, I mean, sometimes it just takes one to put your lights out. But Medic should have a massive striking advantage, and that's why I'm taking him in this matchup. I think he can keep it on the feet long enough to get the striking going. But ultimately, he is a big-time favorite with a really big hole in weakness in his game, and that being the grappling. Urbina just doesn't seem to be the guy that can take advantage of it in this instance. I'm taking Medic. Let me know what you have. So the women's bantamweight division here, 3-2 in the last five for both of these ladies. Priscila Cachoeira takes on Joselyne Edwards. Interesting fight because we know what Cachoeira is going to do. She's a decent striker that just comes forward and throws bombs. She zombies forward, just coming at you. No striking defense, eat one to give one style. Tough as nails, just comes forward and throws bombs. That is what she's going to do. And if she knocks you out, she wins. If she doesn't, I guess she could rob you in the sense of, you know, Kim back in the day. But other than that, she probably is going to lose if she can't just, you know, use her forward pressure and power to beat you. Because her takedown defense is terrible. She struggles off of her back. And like I said, the striking defense isn't there. So if she's not rocking you and rattling you all over the place with that power, That's kind of it, right? But she is a dirty fighter, so she could cheat her way to a win or get disqualified. That's also a possibility. So if you bet the Joselyne Edwards to win by DQ, it's live, right? Because Joselyne Edwards, she's a good striker, but not if you really, really pressure her. But she's good at range. She's got good volume, good kicks at range, and that front kick is probably her best weapon. In this matchup, that is going to be her best friend on the feet. Stick that front kick down the middle, stop the forward pressure of Cachoeira. That is how you stop the zombie style from just crashing forward and throwing power. Joselyne Edwards can do that here. But if she does not, if she, say, throws that front kick and maybe Cachoeira gives the old like little hip turn and the kick slips past, guess what? That's trouble. Big power shot coming down the middle. That could be a problem. However, Joselyne Edwards has a backup plan. She's been working her grappling. For a while, her grappling was bad. It's not bad anymore. It's decent. She's not good at any of this yet, at least from what we've seen. She might be in this fight. She's been improving. Decent takedown defense. She had bad takedown defense in the past. Decent top control. And she's got decent sweeps from the bottom. There's a lot of stuff to like about Joselyne Edwards growing up in the UFC the way she has. She's done pretty well. She's 3-2 in the last 5. That's impressive. At least for someone who, earlier on in her career, kind of didn't look like she had a ton of potential. Now she's starting to look like it. I think she gets the win here. I do think that. I think Joselyne Edwards is going to be able to get on top and use the lacking takedown defense from Cachoeira to win this fight. I also think on the feet, she's not lost either. She's probably the cleaner, better striker, but the forward pressure could give me some pause if they spend extended time on the feet. I am going to take Joselyne Edwards. She should cruise here. The only way she doesn't is if she fights to a poor game plan, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next 35-pound matchup. Elijah Smith takes on Toshiomi Kazama. 5-0 for Smith, 2-3 in the last 5 for Kazama. Now, interesting fight because Kazama coming off a win. Remember, I told you he was going to beat Gregorio. You guys told me I was stupid. You said Gregorio was a lock, that he was easily going to knock this dude out in the first round. Cool. I'm not the type to typically brag about that stuff, but I have a little bit of an extra chip on my shoulder for that fight because the comment section was particularly brutal on that one when I picked Kazama. Anyway, Kazama, he's a solid grappler. He doesn't strike. He doesn't want to strike. If he does strike, it's only because his grappling hasn't been able to get a takedown or fall to his back and pull you with him. Like that's what he wants to do. He wants to get the takedowns. He wants to get the fight to the mat because he is pretty much a grappler entirely. Decent takedowns. The throws are pretty good. He's got a really good back take. He's very active from his back. That's how he beat Gregorio. Sort of. I mean, Gregorio's died, but sweeps are good. He attacks submissions, and his submission arsenal is pretty adept, right? But he's fighting Elijah Smith. Now, Elijah Smith, I forgot my marker. Elijah Smith is a good striker with very fast hands. He'll set up his strikes with his wrestling. Now, I don't think that's going to work too much here because Kazama's going to welcome the takedowns. But I don't think he needs to set him up in this fight because the striking gap is huge. Decent power for Smith, good boxing combinations, and he's got a laser of a jab. Now, if he decides to grapple, I don't know that it's his best move, but he could do it and he'll be fine. I think he's going to be wanting to strike, don't get me wrong. But he got fast takedown entries, a very good double leg. He's powerful, advances position well, good top pressure, and he wraps the legs. I don't think we're going to see a lot of his grappling. I think we're going to see a lot of the striking. I think Elijah Smith is going to dominate on the feet. I think it makes sense. Kazama has a very good skill set. It's just not going to be applicable against a guy like Smith who has, the wrestling credentials to probably keep this on the feet and a massive striking advantage. We're taking Elijah Smith. Very clear cut here. And that's coming from a guy who had a very profitable night on Kazama last time. Let me know what you guys think. Heavyweight match up next. We have Julius Walker taking on Raffael Cerqueira. Cerqueira is 3-2 in his last 5, 4-1 for Walker. Now, Walker took a fight on relatively short notice, right, against Alonzo Menefield in his debut. Good showing, but he lost. I mean, it's okay. That happens. Cerqueira, on the other hand, hasn't looked good in the UFC. Let's start with Cerqueira. Decent striker with power and a good body kick. Kind of just crumbles if you give him any adversity. The guy's got decent grappling, decent takedowns, really heavy ground and pound. The guy's a really good regional hammer. About where it stops. On the other side, Julius Walker, decent striker. You could tell he's very new to it. He's very rudimentary in his skill set. That's okay. He's getting there, and he shows a lot of development, right? High guard, good volume, explosive, and durable. But his hands just drop. And you see it because he just starts throwing punches with his hands down here because, he hasn't really had the time and drilled it in to, keep your hands up and, maybe block a shot. That's okay. He's only got 7 fights in his career, okay? Give him a break. But he's showing some development. Probably too early to be in the UFC, but he got here short notice. It happens. Good grappler. Cage push and dirty boxing. This right here is his best thing, in my opinion, in this fight, as well as many others. Hard to control on the bottom. He does have a decent Kimura sweep. That's not going to work at the highest level typically. Could work here. He's active from his back. He's got decent takedowns, but his top control is kind of, it's not really that good. But here's the deal. People were like, why is Cerqueira still in the UFC? It's to give Juicebox a win. That's it. Julius Walker should win this fight. If he loses this fight, I will be shocked. Cerqueira's not that good. He hasn't been that good. He got here. Good for him. This is Julius Walker all day. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, the guy's a good regional hammer. He doesn't have the, look, his last fight was a really bad look. Let's put it that way. Julius Walker would not have that happen to him. We're taking Julius Walker. I think he runs through him here. He's a big favorite for a reason. Let me know what you think. Here we go. A matchup at 185 pounds, surely to cause some adversity in the comments. Eryk Anders takes on Christian Leroy Duncan. 3-2 in the last 5 for both of these gentlemen. Let's start on the CLD side. For CLD, he's a good striker with good power, good elbows, and good flying knees. The problem, he's wide open to counters because he's always doing goofy stuff. The guy does really wild, like, just explosive, big movement stuff, but puts himself wide open to counters. So there is that, but it is effective when it lands. So a lot of boomer bust style on the feet for Duncan. Decent grappler. Like, you see all these good stuff, but like he doesn't do any of it just like super well, if you know what I mean. Like, he does well enough. He's not a grappler by trade, right? Decent takedown defense, decent takedowns. Cage push is pretty good, and he's got good ground and pound. The cage push, it's mostly like the in between the cage push, like on the entry of the cage push and the exit of the cage push. Actually, up in the like cage clinch, he's not as good there, but he's good on the entry and the exit of it, if that makes sense. On the other side, for Eryk Anders, dude's a good striker with good forward pressure, good power, and he'll eat one to give one. Typically, the durability holds up. Every now and then, not so much, but he's an athletic dude, like former college football player, big muscular guy, really transitioned well to MMA, unlike most football players. Some do, but most don't. He's transitioned well. He's just got that big, powerful come forward style. He can mix everything well and just eat one to give one back, which plays well to a guy that is open to counters. A flying knee is probably going to knock out most people, but say CLD goes for one of those goofy like elbows where he does like a twirl afterwards, he's wide open. So that's not a thing you like in a big favorite. On the other side, on the grappling department, he's good there, right? Is Anders. He's got good cage push and he's a good grinder. Now he's the better cage pusher, like against the cage. Anders is not afraid to just push you against the cage and keep you there for 3 rounds and not care about what the crowd's doing. He will just stay there and do what he wants to do. I personally like that if I'm backing a guy like Anders, but as a fan, like something you want to watch, I could understand why you might not like that. But it works really well if he's just trying to win minutes and stay out of danger. He will make his opponents pay really bad for failed takedowns, because he's the type of guy that just does not give a rip about if he's going to get in trouble for, a disqualification on cutting it real close on one of those illegal shots. We've seen it happen both ways before, where it's been really good success, and also, you're DQ'd, man. So there's that. But either way, or no contest or whatever. I don't remember what that one ended up being with Stewart. But either way, for Anders, the thing is, if you shoot a takedown on him and he shucks that sucker off and you're trying to get back up, dude's likely just try to punch you in the face, soccer kick style. However, if you're not up off the mat, it's a DQ for sure. The thing is, nowadays, those rules help him a lot, and this is in Vegas, so they've got the new rules, so like you can't just have your hands on the mat. So that's big time for Anders here, at least for that. I don't think CLD is going to be shooting a ton of takedowns here. I think if he does, he's actually going to be struggling in that department. I think he needs to keep it on the feet, and I think he can have some success with the big stuff here. I think if he lands the big power shots, he can have a lot of success. On the other hand, I think if Anders can just grind him against defense or catch him on the exchanges here, he can have a lot of success. Now, the reason that this one's an interesting fight for me to make some people mad, because we've got the guy in the comments that throws a fit every time I pick against one of the old guys, being Anders, and we've got the guy in the comments that's going to just have an absolute aneurysm every time I pick a big underdog, Anders. So if I pick Anders, underdog aneurysm guy, going to freak out. If I pick CLD, you never pick old guy is going to freak out. So I've got a solution for the two of you. You two meet up in the comments and fight amongst each other. I think the arguments could be great. I think you guys could have a really good fight. I think it would really help the engagement of the video. I would appreciate it a lot, especially if you guys go back and forth for like weeks to come. that would be fantastic. For me, I'm a little biased. Eryk Anders is one of my favorite fighters. I have an interview with him on this here channel. If you scroll way back, maybe I'll put it at the end screen of this. I don't know. Anyway, he's my boy. He's your boy. Eryk Anders is the man. I really genuinely, outside of just being a fan of him, do think he has a lot of paths to victory here, and he's a massive underdog. Give me Anders to win. So, old guy fan in the comments can be happy. Aneurysm, if I pick an underdog, can throw a fit. We move on. Let me know what you guys think. 35-pound matchup. Miles Johns takes on John Matsumoto. Matsumoto is 4-1 in his last 5, 3-1 in a no contest for John. So both guys effectively have lost once in their last 5. That's what that means. Now, when we look at this fight here, this is a competitive matchup, and the line doesn't suggest that as much, so that's kind of a tough one for me. But for John Matsumoto, he's a good striker with good combinations, really good front kick, really solid leg kick, and he's very durable. So there's a lot to like on the feet for John Matsumoto. John Matsumoto, Miles Johns. That's going to be an interesting one. But for Matsumoto is also a good grappler with a powerful double leg, good sweeps, slick choke arsenal. But if he gets put on his back, sometimes he does stick around a little bit too long down there and is willing to work from his back. Not all the time. Sometimes he goes for that sweep early. Other times he'll start looking for submissions, and that minutes tick away fast in an MMA fight. Dude does have good cardio, though. That's something you like to see. On the other side, Miles Johns. Miles is a good striker with good power, good counters, and a good leg kick. The problem is the output. Oftentimes, we see Miles Johns just kind of waiting for his opportunity and not doing what he needs to do to get something done. But when he does, he's pretty good, right? He's a good grappler as well. He's got good takedowns, good top control, and good scrambles. If Miles Johns goes for the takedowns, works that top control, and Matsumoto is willing to work from his back, we could see a really boring Miles Johns decision, no problem. If Matsumoto keeps this on the feet, there's a real chance that Miles Johns cracks Matsumoto, but there's also a really good chance that Matsumoto is just doing more and probably winning in that sense. So it's a competitive fight, and I can see arguments for both sides. Ultimately, I do think we're going to just see Matsumoto doing more, and Johns trying to pick his counter shots and things like that. So I'm going to take Matsumoto, but slight, because Miles Johns often is underrated and pulls through. So we're going to take Matsumoto, but this is a crack open a root beer and kind of watch sort of fight. My magnet's screwing up. But either way, I'm taking Matsumoto. Let me know what you guys think. 145-pound matchup. Andre Fili takes on Christian Rodriguez. And good news for Fili, he's not an undefeated prospect. So on paper, that means he should beat Rodriguez, right? Rodriguez is 3-2 in his last 5 fights, 2-3 for Fili. Now, when we look at Christian Rodriguez, he's a good striker with decent power. He's got pretty good striking defense as well. That's something that kind of goes unnoticed a lot. Good movement, good volume, good combinations, and I like that he ends his combinations with kicks, oftentimes a leg kick, but he'll end his combinations with kicks, which is nice because you can usually hit those as your opponent is exiting range or when they're starting to cover up, right? If you're throwing a combination and your opponent's putting their hands up here, well, the body and leg kicks are probably open. So things I like there. Solid grappler as well. Good sweeps, good scrambles, good submission defense. He can get decent takedowns. His takedown defense is kind of but other than that, it's pretty good. His scrambles and sweeps kind of make up for the lacking takedown defense. There's a lot to like. On the other side, Andre Fili, good striker, uses his range pretty well. He's got long, lanky arms. He can pressure forward while keeping his opponent at the end of those punches. That's something impressive. I like that a lot. Good kicks, good combinations. His striking defense, though, the opposite of Rodriguez. It's bad. Dude does not really care about defense. And that's because often, we've seen him get rattled a lot more later in his career, but for a long time there, the dude could rely on his chin pretty well. And, the striking defense didn't matter as much. But he has been rattled more lately. Striking defense probably is going to be more important for him at this point in the career. He's a good grappler, though. He's very opportunistic with his takedowns. Yes, he could get a takedown here. That could go well or it could go bad. Good scrambles. Uses his length really well on the mat. Problem is his takedown defense isn't very good either. So here's the deal. Had I not seen Fili's last fight, I would be picking him here for sure. Because there's a lot to like about Fili's game. But that last fight that was such a bad look. Like, he was doing okay, right? But he just kind of gave up a guillotine without really trying to defend. It was the weirdest look. Now I'm watching. Now I understand. Andre Fili is a much higher level fighter than I am. So maybe I missed something. But he didn't try to defend the guillotine. Am I right? At all. And there's not much time left in the round. He was doing well in the round. he just didn't, like, it just seemed like he just kind of let it happen. And I don't know what was up. So that just, it made me kind of worry about Andre Fili at this point in his career. I don't know what's going on there. He's not that old. Like, he's not like, it's not like he's just like washed up or anything, or he shouldn't be. I don't know. So I'm going to take Christian Rodriguez. He's a very talented fighter. Both guys are talented fighters, but that last fight just, man, I can't get it out of my head. So maybe I'm overreacting to that. We're taking Christian Rodriguez. Let me know what you think. Women's strawweights next. We have Angela Hill taking on Iasmin Lucindo. For me, this is the toughest fight on the card to predict. The absolute toughest. And I've slipped my pick multiple times. So there you go. Lucindo's 4-1 in his last 5, 3-2 for Hill. Now, I'll get into why this is really tricky, but there's a lot to digest in this matchup as far as stylistic matchups and things like that go. For Angela Hill, solid striker. She's built her game off of volume and movement. Lately, she's done a little bit more different stuff, but if she does stick to a good volume, movement, putting together combinations kind of game plan, I think she can have a lot of success here. She's durable enough to eat the powerful counter coming back every so often. Her power is not very good, but she's going to out-volume her opponents and usually look pretty good doing it. She doesn't show damage super bad, so that's always a bonus too. So for me, Angela Hill, if she is able to keep up that volume movement with that cardio type of style, she could do really well in the striking department here. However, lately she's been mixing the grappling a lot more, which is good most of the time, but not so much in this matchup. She is a decent grappler. It's something that came late to her game, but she's got pretty good takedown defense these days. It used to be a really big weakness of her. She's active from her back, and she can mix in her own takedowns when needed. I do not think that's a good move here by any means. Maybe it is. Maybe if she gets on top, she'll have success. Maybe she gets reversed on the way down and ends up on bottom and stays there for the rest of the round. So there's that. So there's a lot to like here if she's doing this. There's not a lot to like if she ends up trying to like plant her feet and throw a power shot or, cage push, mixing the grappling, things like that. She needs to go back to traditional, use the takedown defense, don't get me wrong, but traditional Angela Hill, stay light on the toes style. On the other side for Lucindo, she's a good striker, right? She's got good counters, good combinations, good head movement, and decent power. But she's not going to be out-voluming Angela Hill. She's not going to be out-voluming a lot of people. And she is going to deal with struggle with the movement of Hill. However, she's competent on the feet. She can do some counter strikes. And her power is going to be way more than Angela Hill. If you don't agree with me there, you're just trying to argue for no reason. Angela Hill doesn't have hardly any power to her strikes. We all know that. The power is on the Lucindo side. Okay. Now, for Lucindo, I don't think striking is the game plan for her to beat Hill. Could she? Sure, it's possible. But I don't think that's the game plan. She needs to go to the takedowns. She is a solid grappler, and she has really good top pressure. She's got a good body lock. That's going to be a hard takedown to get on Hill with the movement. However, if Hill stops using a movement-heavy game plan, the body lock is there. If she gets on top, her pressure is really good. She advances position well, and she has pretty good ground and pound when she wants to use it. I can see a really good argument for both sides. I've gone back and forth. I've switched my pick multiple times. I've talked to many other people about this fight and taken in their opinions, and I still don't feel good about either side. Gonna take Angela Hill. And here's why. The fight starts on the feet. I know that she should be the more active striker. And I know that if she goes to the movement-heavy game plan, it's going to be difficult for the takedowns to come from Lucindo. If I was more confident that the takedowns would come from Lucindo, maybe at range, if she could shoot, change levels and shoot to the legs, things like that, sure. But we see a lot of getting into the body lock and dragging her opponents down, and I think it's going to be hard to control or to get a hold of Hill in that way. We're going to take Hill. But by golly, is this a tough one. I'm just going to watch this one. We're staying so far away from this, it's not even funny. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one. Co-main event, you say? Drop a like on this video if you've been enjoying yourself. If you have maybe found it entertaining or informative, I appreciate all those things. Dropping likes, you enjoying the video, those things are great. Please do that. Co-main event, Steve Erceg takes on Ode Osbourne. Osbourne steps in on short notice. Park was originally going to fight in this one. He then fought Tyra on 108, Vegas 108. Osbourne steps in on short notice. 2-3 in the last 5 for both guys. There we go. So both these guys kind of looking to get back on track, right? 2-3 in the last 5 is not where you want to be. You want to start putting the wins together more frequently than the losses. Neither of them have done that recently. Particularly for Erceg, that 3-fight skid is just like, man, this guy was on fire, and now not. But here we are. So Ode Osbourne, he's a good striker with a lot of power on the straights. He's got that long, lanky frame. When you have long, lanky arms and limbs, the straight shots are going to be more powerful. Good combinations. Body kick is one of my favorite weapons he has, and he uses that length pretty well just because of the way he can put the zip on the strikes, things like that. So a lot of things I like in the striking. Pretty good grappling. Active from his back. He uses his length really well. He can tie people up. He can use his length for submissions, particularly that triangle. It's nice. But he does have the ability to get stuck on his back because when you're long and lanky like that, if somebody gets inside of the lanky limbs, like the spider legs that you might have, it is hard to get out and create space because you need to get your feet on the hips a lot of times. And when you have really long legs, getting your feet on the hips is hard because there's too much there, right? At least, I've never had that problem personally. I got short, stubby little legs being short like I am. But either way, that's that. For Erceg, and I do believe this fight is at 135. All right, am I wrong? My notes say 135, not 125, because I think it's a short notice nature. So I could be wrong, but from what I see, it looks like it's 35. For Erceg, good striker, straight punches, pretty good. Comes down right down the middle. He's got a pretty lanky frame for 125, which, like I said, but short notice. But not compared to Osbourne so much. That dude's really long. Volumes there, combinations there, super active lead leg, things you like to see there. It's just always, doing something. Good front kicks, good leg kicks, but his grappling is his best skill set. The problem is, in the UFC, we've seen him mostly be a striker. I mean, for the most part. I know that it was the grappling that failed him against Pantoja. That's because it's Pantoja, not because his grappling isn't good. Pantoja is he's the best grappler in the division. So there you go. Now, when we look at Erceg's grappling, though, it's very solid. He's got decent takedowns, solid top control. If he gets on top, he's probably staying there against most opponents. He's quick to attack submissions, particularly the chokes. Ultimately, I think this is a great path for him to get the win. However, if he stays on the feet, either guy is live to get a knockout. For me, though, I do think more paths lean on the Steve Erceg side, and he's also not taking this fight on short notice. We're going to take Steve Erceg to get this one done. Osbourne could play upset here, but I feel like Erceg gets back on track with a win. Let me know what you think. Here it is, folks, the 185-pound main event on the card. Last reminder to like this video. Maybe share it with some of your friends or on your social media. I would appreciate it very much. We have Roman Dolidze, 3-2 in his last 5. He takes on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, who is 5-0 in his last 5. When we look at this matchup, it's a really competitive one, in my opinion. Stylistically, I think it makes for a fun matchup. We've got Hernandez, who is a good striker with good forward pressure, good combinations, and good volume. His striking isn't super refined, but it's the output, the pressure that just really puts it on guys and sets up his grappling. He's a solid grappler with good takedowns. He's got good volume of takedowns. He'll chain the takedowns together, and he will just mat return you for days. If you get back up, mat return, mat return, mat return, and it wears you out. He will attack submissions, also making you fight those off. His scrambles are excellent. The dude's got a super high motor and a ton of cardio. He breaks people. He's got that middleweight. He's got the cardio warrior. Just he owns that space for middleweight, if that makes sense. So a lot to like for Anthony Hernandez here, especially with that. But on the other side, he's going against Roman Dolidze, who on the feet, he's coming along, right? He's got a decent striking arsenal, plenty of power. The step-in knee could be really beneficial for him here. He's got a good 1-2. Ultimately, his output's not going to be likely as much as Hernandez, but, whose is. But he does have some things that I do like in that. In the grappling, the dude is legit. The dude is a legitimate grappler with a really good skill set in his grappling. His takedowns come at the end of his strikes, often that 1-2. Excellent sweeps. If he gets on bottom, there's likelihood he sweeps here and gets on top, and Hernandez has to work his butt off to get back to his feet because the top pressure from Dolidze is good. He's also got a pretty good, submission arsenal. His heel hook is surprising. The guy can also go for other stuff. He doesn't have heel hooks like Walter Walker. Don't get me wrong, dude, just running through people with heel hooks, but it's there. It's something that you don't often defend against at a high level, right? I mean, you don't see guys out there doing heel hooks in the UFC often. It's a very low, underutilized submission. Maybe not underutilized. It's probably adequately utilized, but it's a submission you don't have to defend a ton. And if somebody is good at it, such as Dolidze, that could be a problem for a guy like Hernandez. However, this is an interesting fight, right? Because I think early on, Dolidze could have some serious success, but I think as the fight drags, it favors Hernandez. There is nobody who can keep up with the pace of Hernandez in the division. I don't think anybody can. The dude never even looks sort of tired. Like at all. Like dude can do 5 rounds and he just kind of looks like he went for a light jog. That might be an exaggeration, but you get what you get the sentiment I'm trying to express. On the other hand, for Dolidze, he's got the skills to make the grappling really difficult for Hernandez. He does have the grappling acumen. He does have enough power and skill on the feet, especially with those step-in knees, to make the takedowns come a little bit more apprehensive from a guy like Hernandez. It's tricky, but I do think if Hernandez survives those first couple of rounds, I think he takes over, and I think he can even win the first couple of rounds as well. First round probably goes to Dolidze because I think he's strong, powerful, and can even if he has to, just brute strength his way through some of the things that he needs to defend, like, say a submission, for example. If somebody's trying to choke you, you can just force your head out sometimes. I think he can do stuff like that early on, but I think the longer the fight goes, it favors Hernandez. It's just, do we get there? I think we do. I've been backing Fluffy since the beginning of time, if you will. I'm going to take him here. I think he gets this one done. I think this is a tricky stylistic matchup for him, and I think if he gets past this, that is the toughest fight prior to a title fight he will get as far as styles go. Actually, I take that back. Maybe Ohio might be a trickier one, but either way, we're taking Fluffy Hernandez to get this one done, using that pace to win a decision over 5 rounds, 3-2. That's how I see it. Let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you all down the road.